comrades on Patreon supporting my channel and this content. My partner, thank you, Rosa, and Independent Left News. Definitely go check out Independent Left News. This is from Edward Snowden's Substack. I don't know why that was so difficult to say, but it was. The all-seeing eye. Apple just declared war on your privacy. And this is with regards to some stuff that Snowden will get into here in more eloquent detail than I would be able to. By now, you probably heard that Apple plans to push a new and uniquely intrusive surveillance system out to many of the more than 1 billion with a B, iPhones it has sold, which all run the behemoth's proprietary take it or leave it software. The new offensive is tentatively slated to begin with the launch of iOS 15, almost certainly in mid-September, with the devices of its U.S. user base designated as the initial targets. We're told that other countries will be spared, but not for long. Might have noticed I haven't mentioned which problem it is that Apple is purporting to solve. Why? Because it doesn't matter. Having read thousands upon thousands of remarks on this growing scandal, it has become clear to me that many understand it. Many understand it doesn't matter, but few, if any, have been willing to actually say it. Speaking candidly, if that's still allowed, hopefully, that's the way it always goes when someone of institutional significance launches a campaign to defend a indefensible intrusion into our private spaces. They make a mad dash to the supposed high ground from which they speak in low, solemn tones about their moral mission before fervently invoking the dreaded specter of the four horsemen of the infopocalypse, warning that only a dubious amulet or suspicious software update can save us from the most threatening members of our species. Suddenly, everybody with the principled objection is forced to preface their concern with a apologetic throat clearing and the establishment of bona fides. I lost a friend when the towers came down. However, as a parent, I understand this is a real problem, but this little cartoon there. Control of internet speech. It's the government, U.S. government, corporate media. How would you like this wrapped? Anti-terrorism or protect kids? Which wrapping paper? That's pretty awesome. As a parent, I'm also a parent, I'm here to tell you that sometimes it doesn't matter why the man in the handsome suit is doing something. It's the corporate media there. What matters are the consequences. Apple's new system, regardless of how anyone tries to justify it, will permanently redefine what belongs to you and what belongs to them. And that should be, frankly, very troubling for anybody who, uses Apple products, right? You want to, previously they wouldn't be able to literally every photo that's taken on an Apple device after this will be scrutinized. And I think it's a little bit naive to think that this won't be used for, other motives to, go after people that the, government decides are, extremist, or people who are challenging the status quo, whether in, the U.S. or, abroad with U.S. imperialism. These types of censorous tactics, attacks on free speech, will always be used against, people on the left. How? The task Apple intends its new surveillance system to perform, preventing their cloud systems from being used to store digital contraband, in this case unlawful images uploaded by their consumers, is traditionally performed by searching their systems. While it's still problematic for anybody to search through 1 billion people's private files. Is that from that? I don't know what that thing is right there, but anyways. The fact that they can only see the files you gave them is a crucial limitation, and now it'll be they have access to literally search through everything. Not good. Now, however, that's all set to change. On the new design, your phone will now perform these searches on Apple's behalf before your photos have even reached their iCloud servers, and yada yada yada. If enough forbidden content is discovered, law enforcement will be notified. And again, this is all under the guise of, protecting children's safety, but this, forbidden content, frankly, could be expanded and applied to a lot of things, as I alluded to earlier. Definitely a very, very slippery slope, in my opinion, and Snowden is coming from that same perspective. I intentionally wave away the technical and procedural details of Apple's system here, some of which are quite clever because they, like our man in the handsome suit, merely distract from the most pressing fact, the fact that in just a few weeks, Apple plans to erase the boundary dividing which devices work for you and which devices work for them. Obviously, after this point, once this gets instituted, all the devices will be working for them. And, I have Apple stuff. This is a, Apple computer. I have an iPhone. Pretty bad look, Apple. Why is this so important? Once the precedent has been set, that it is fit and proper for even a pro-privacy company like Apple to make products that betray the users and owners, Apple itself will lose control over how that precedent is applied. As soon as the public first came to learn of the spy phone plan, experts began investigating its technical weaknesses, many ways it could be abused, primarily within the parameters of Apple's design. All of these valiant vulnerability research efforts have produced compelling evidence that the system is seriously flawed. They also seriously miss the point. Apple gets to decide whether or not their phones will monitor their owners' infractions for the government, but it's the government that could decide what constitutes an infraction and how they will handle that. And I don't have a whole lot of trust, this current version of the U.S. government to, make those decisions, right? Has a narrow focus. It only currently scrutinizes photos intended to be uploaded to iCloud. That's every photo for 85% of its users, and it does not scrutinize them beyond a simple comparison against a database of specific examples of previously identified child sexual abuse material, CSAM. If you're an enterprising pedophile with a basement full of CSAM tainted iPhones, Apple welcomes you to entirely exempt yourself from these scans by simply flipping the disabled iCloud photo switch, a bypass which reveals that the system was never designed to protect children, as they would have you believe, but rather to protect their brand. As long as you keep that material off their servers and to keep Apple out of headlines, Apple doesn't care. It seems pretty accurate, right? So what happens when, in a few years, at the latest, a politician points out that in order to protect the children, bills are passed in the legislature to prohibit this disabled bypass, effectively compelling Apple to scan photos that aren't backed up to the iCloud? What happens when a party in India demands they start scanning for memes associated with the separatist movement? Yes, this is the slippery slope, right? What happens when the UK demands that they scan for a library of terrorist imagery? How long do we have left before the iPhone in your pocket begins quietly filing reports about encountering extremist political material, or about your presence at a civil disturbance, or simply about your iPhone's possession of a video clip that contains, or maybe not contains, a blurry image of a passerby who resembles, according to algorithm, a person of interest? All very good questions, right? If Apple demonstrates the capability and willingness to continuously remotely search every phone for evidence of one particular type of crime, these are questions for which they will have no answer. Yet an answer will come, and it will come from the worst lawmakers of the worst governments. This is not a slippery slope, it's a cliff. Is that from... what movie is that from? Dr. Strangelove, maybe? Let's see. Faced with the blistering torrent of global condemnation, Apple is responding not by addressing any concern or making any changes, or more sensibly, by just scrapping the plan altogether. Seemed like that would make the most sense. But by developing their man in the handsome suit software chief who resembles the well-moisturized villain from a movie about Wall Street, to give quotes to, yes, the Wall Street Journal about how sorry the company is for confusion it's caused, but how the public shouldn't worry. Nothing to see here. No worries. We're just gonna have, access to, all all of this stuff on your phone, but nothing to see here. We're gonna take good care of it. Trust us. Apple feels very good about what they're doing. Not sure, is that maybe their CEO? Neither the message nor the messenger was a mistake. Apple dispatched its SVP for software, Kendall, to speak with the journal, not to protect the company's users, but to reassure the company's investors. Yeah, why are they doing this? Apple, designed in California, assembled in China, purchased by you on 5S. The one answer to these questions that the optimists keep coming back to is the likelihood Apple is doing this as a prelude to finally switching over to end-to-end encryption for everyone. Its customer store, for everything, its customer store in iCloud, something Apple had previously intended to do before backtracking and dismaying display of cowardice after the FBI secretly complained. For the unfamiliar, what I'm describing here as end-to-end encryption is a somewhat complex concept, but briefly it means that only the two endpoints sharing a file, say two phones on opposite sides of the internet, are able to decrypt it, even if the file were being stored and served from an iCloud server in Cupertino. As far as Apple or any other middleman in a handsome suit is concerned, that file is just an indecipherable blob of random garbage. The file only becomes a text message, a video, a phone, or whatever it is when it's paired with a key that's possessed only by you and those with whom you choose to share it. There's a little graphic. So that means, yeah, definitely a lot safer way to be able to share information is through that end-to-end encryption. So the end-to-end encryption will allow you to trust a service provider to store your data without granting them any ability to understand it. This would mean that even Apple itself would no longer be expected to rummage through your iCloud account with its grabby little raccoon hands, and therefore could not be expected to hand it over to any government that can stamp a sheet of paper, which is precisely why the FBI, again, secretly complained. Apple's proposal to make their phones and forum on and betray their owners marks the dawn of a dark future, one to be written in the blood of the political opposition of 100 countries that will exploit the system to the hilt. See the day after the system goes live, and no longer matter whether or not Apple ever enables end-to-end encryption, because our iPhones will be reporting their contents before our keys are even used. Can't think of any other company that so proudly and so publicly distributed spyware to its own devices, and I can't think of a threat more dangerous to a product security than the mischief of its own maker. There is no fundamental technological limit to how far the precedent Apple is establishing can be pushed, meaning the only restraint is Apple's all too flexible company policy, something governments understand all too well. I should say there should be a law, but I fear that would only make things worse. To put it bluntly, this is not an innovation, but a tragedy, a disaster in the making. Okay, maybe I'm confused, or maybe I just think different. I mean, I definitely think it is a disaster in the making. I completely agree. This, like he said, is not a slippery slope, but a cliff, which is going to have some hugely disastrous consequences once it's implemented. And Jesus, Apple, I mean, why would they not have just went away from this after all the public outcry once people heard about what they were trying to do? But deeply disturbing. Shame on you, Apple. Is some fucked up shit. Like the video if you like the damn video. Subscribe for more content. All part of the people. Peace. Much love.